Hey, it is Xennial Gamer here with a new Steel Fortress 10 team for those of you who have Cadiz. Guys, I know we're obviously talking about an LD5, so this is not going to be a team that everybody can build. The runes on this team are also pretty high quality. Again, not a team that everybody can build, but if you do have Cadiz, if you do have some decent runes that you can put, some high damage slow runes basically that you can put, this team is averaging about 35 seconds for me, making it 10 to 15 seconds faster than the dot team. Now, I've been running this team for 200 to 300 runs so far. It hasn't had a fail yet. Every now and then it has like a derp that'll go for 50 something seconds, but the overall average runs are staying right at about 35 to 37 seconds on each set of 10. So, this is going to be a relatively short video. There's no point in doing a whole detailed guide, to be honest, since a lot of people can't build this team, but I did want to share it for those of you who are able to build it if you've got Cadiz. Now, I also want to point out, I'm going to put an info card on screen. This is actually a variation of a team that I put a video out on a year ago. So, I had done a team using Pang instead of Cadiz that averaged about 45 seconds. It's basically the same thing, Triple Raoq, Ling Ling, and Pang. This one is Triple Raoq, Ling Ling, and Cadiz, making the team a little bit faster because Cadiz absorbs the boss's attack bar. So if you don't have the Cadiz, you can still do the Pang team, but I will tell you the Pang team takes higher rune quality and gets about the same speed as the dot team. So for me, the dot team makes more sense because you can run one team in 2 dungeons, being Giants and Steel Fortress, and you don't need to put good runes on it. Whereas in this case, the Cadiz team saving me 10 seconds per run, and the runes I put on it, they're good, but they're not runes that I use for anything else. This team now is a nice upgrade. So as we speak of the runes, I'm now going to have the runes shown behind me. We're showing all the runes on all the monsters, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how we got to this team. If you want to see any of the specific builds, just go ahead and pause the video. So I spent a few hours trying different variations of this team using Cadiz. I knew I wanted to start with Cadiz, and I knew that because Cadiz does not have perfect AI, we were going to need a second buff blocker. I thought about monsters other than Ling Ling, such as Airgar and so on, but at the end of the day, Ling Ling was buffed specifically for this dungeon. She remains the best buff blocker for this dungeon if that's the route that you're going to go. So ultimately, Cadiz and Ling Ling, they needed to be the 2 main buff blockers on this team, and everything else was about how to clear the waves faster and how to get more damage. I did try variations of Lucian, but because of the lack of perfect AI, again, the team really wasn't that fast. It was like 41, 42 seconds, so at that point, we're basically just a little bit faster than the dot team, but nothing crazy. I tried Crow in this team instead of the second Raoq, and I will tell you, the Crow team actually can do some really big damage. You can get faster best times with the Crow, but the thing with Crow is you have to put him on double will usually. You can run him on violent, but you usually put him on double will for this team. And ultimately, I was getting faster overall runs once I tried the Triple Raoqs. Now, I did try the Fire Homunculus. I did not try Brondia. I figured she was kind of the same thing as the Fire Homunculus. I did try A-Star. None of those teams really got me anything faster than what we're doing right now, and a lot of them had some fail rates. That was actually the biggest challenge, was trying to get a team that wasn't going to have a fail rate. So there was a variation of this team that I did that used Galleon. It was actually Galleon, Cadiz, Raoq, Crow, and Ling Ling, I believe. That team actually was averaging faster. That team was something like 33 seconds, but it did fail. It seemed like it failed about once every 30 or 40 runs. And ultimately, I actually, for a while, I thought the Galleon version was going to be the best. I thought the attack buff and the ability to... So the thing with the Galleon version, the idea behind the Galleon version was that Galleon doesn't directly attack the boss when he goes with his skill 3. And so that way you can actually run something like Galleon, Cadiz, Raoq in that turn order, and that gives you a huge advantage to clearing the waves, because if Galleon goes skill 3 and then you run the Cadiz and the Raoq, you clear the waves really fast. As long as Galleon goes skill 3, it's not as fast as Illusion, but it's awfully close because the Raoqs have perfect AI and they turn cycle on kills, and now they've got all the defense breaks and attack buffs. Then if you can get Galleon to skill 3 the boss, he doesn't touch the boss, which means he doesn't bring up the shield, and then the Cadiz or the Ling Ling can go and put up the buff block. Challenge with that team is basically that Galleon's AI, like Lucian, like Cadiz, like most of these monsters, is not perfect. When Galleon does S1 the boss, it actually puts you in a bad spot because now you've got a water unit tanking the boss. Now, I tried Galleon in double will, I tried him in a tankier build, but no matter which builds I used, there always was that slight built-in fail rate. And then ultimately, to balance that team out, I wound up building the entire team in double will, and I just didn't have enough damage, so sometimes I wouldn't kill the mid-boss in time. So I gave up on the Galleon, and then that's when I came back to the triple Raoq that you see right behind you. Now again, you could run this same team with 2 Raoqs and a Crow, and you would get some faster top times, but if you don't run the Crow in double will, you will occasionally get some fails, and then ultimately you're also going to wind up with about the same average time as you get with the triple Raoq. Maybe it's a second or two faster on average, but you do get those fails. Now, the team that you can see right now, it can be built in 2 ways as well. So I showed you all of the stats with the violent runes. That is what I ultimately settled on. You can also build this team in double will. I feel like the double will team is probably safer if you don't have enough rune quality to kill the boss quickly. So that's going to be the big thing here. I haven't actually been watching the replays as they're going in the background, but you'll notice with this team, sometimes I can actually kill the mid-boss with just 2 hits. If the Ling Ling derps and goes skill 1 defense break, and then the Raoqs get the correct team-ups, we can actually kill the mid-boss in 2 hits. I know on this run right here, we just killed the final boss in like 2 or 3 hits. So when everything goes perfect, you get through the boss stages quickly. It's actually the waves that are a little slower on this team. Now, if you put everything in double will, you may not be able to get through the boss as quickly, and that means the boss is going to get a turn to hit you. Now, of course, it means you don't get stunned, but it does mean that you're going to take some damage, your monsters have to be a little bit beefier, and ultimately it just kind of slows down the overall average damage output and therefore the average time. So I think the main difference between double will and violent, the violent monsters, obviously they can proc out of the stuns that the boss will throw out. They can also do some extra damage. The downside to violent, of course, is that you trigger the bosses. For those of you who never read the skill, the boss has a passive where after you've taken 5 turns, the boss will actually get a turn. That's when he tries to stun you. So with the violent runes, you don't get to guarantee your turn order, but since 3 of the monsters are the same monster, I didn't really think it was all that important to guarantee the turn order. Anyway, guys, I promised you this was going to be a short video, and that's it. That's what I've got for you today. So we did show all of the stats again in the video. Talked a little bit about the Theorycraft. If you guys have any questions about the team and you have a Cadiz, obviously feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. As always, please remember to smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey, it is Xennial. Oh, no, wait, this is the outro. My bad. Hey guys, if you want to see more content, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notifications. It's your support that makes me want to create continuing content. I thank you guys for the support, as always, and we'll see you in the next video.